Welcome, welcome. Pull up a pew, crack yourself open a beer, pop open that bottle of Chablis, I was going to say. Is Chablis a wine? I don't know why that's rolling off my tongue tonight. Bottle of Pinot. Bottle of Moet is usually the go-to alcohol references for me. A nice bottle of Glenfiddich, or whatever that stuff is called. I remember one year I gave my mum a bottle of Glenfiddich for Christmas, and she did not touch it. She was not. It was almost as bad as the necklace that I got her. Was one of the Argos ones, like the fake gold ones, and it said "Mum" on it. Never touched it. Never wore it, not even once. Don't know why that's relevant. Anyway, welcome back to Aid Thompson and Other Disappointments. I am, of course, your host, Aid Thompson. Welcome back to your twice weekly shimmy through the wilds of this formerly Great Britain. I am your veritable correspondent, your dispatch from dystopia. What's up to the people in the live chat this evening? Who have we got in the house? Who have we got in? Well, it's not really a house, is it? It's a shed. Let's be honest. Let's call it what it is. It's a shed. Who's in the shed with me tonight? We've got Sarah Davies. We've got Richard Marsden. We've got Diz moderating the chat for me. Thank you very much, Diz. And doff of the cap to you. Mojo Sabian. Tackleberry's back also. I should also give a special shout out to a new channel member. Somebody's just joined called Brian White. What's up, Brian? How you doing? I got a new Patreon the other day as well. Should we show some love to the new Patreon? Stam Kapatanakis. I hope I'm saying that right. What's up to Sam? Signed up to the Patreon the other day. It does start only £1 a month on both Patreon and YouTube's thing, so it's super cheap if you want to jump on there. You get access to the Discord. You get episodes of the podcast 2 days before everyone else. Sometimes even longer. If I get distracted by life, my children, my day job, might take me a little bit longer. It's taken me a bit longer this week to get Wednesday's show out. Anyway, this is not interesting, is it? What's up to the people in the live chat? And indeed, people catching up on Spotify and Apple Podcasts afterwards. I hope everyone's had a good week. Hope everyone's had a fine few days. A passable period of political parties, papers, and petulant punditry. All the P's tonight. Feeling the alliteration. Tonight, what are we doing tonight? What are we going to talk about? Tonight, here with me for the next hour or so, we're going to be talking about what's going on here in the UK, obviously. We're going to be talking about what's been happening in the United States the last few days, probably. We're going to be tapping into a weird news story, I guess, as is custom for the Friday Night Live show. And then at about 8:30, we will wind it down for the lock-in, which is where we get that music on, that chilled out, late night, everyone chilling, coming down in the kitchen, that sort of vibe, that kind of music. We're going to turn that music on. We turn the lights down low, and we're going to do a spot of Q&A. I was going to say, a bit of Q&A, but realistically, it will just be what it always is, which is people in the live chat posting badger emojis and taking the piss out of my shirt for 30 whole minutes straight. So, that is the itinerary for tonight, guys. That's what we're going to be doing. Let's get into it, shall we? What's been going on this week? What's been happening? What's been taking place in the last few days? We've had the latest round of Recreational Nightmares coming out of Fleet Street, so that's always fun. It's like proxy entertainment, really, at this point, with the Recreational Nightmares. That's what I'm calling them. That's when you're you're a right-wing hack. You work at the Telegraph or the Express or GB News or, one of these reactionary kind of channels or mediums of tedium. And there's nothing really that you can argue about policy-wise. You can't grandstand about the national debt. You can't grandstand about immigration or fossil fuels or what we're going to do when they run out or whatever, because you don't have any solutions. And frankly, your team were in power for 14 years and did basically dick one to fix any of this stuff. If anything, you actually made it worse. So you really got no solutions to any of these problems. And you don't really have any, you're not coming from a position of strength to complain about the things that matter in the world. So instead what you do is you make up some problems. You just invent a fantasy of problems, conspiracy theories, nonsense. It's like a hobby to you. It's purely recreational is what it is. Recreational nightmares where you make up shit like two-tier policing is one that we've covered quite a bit on the pod. Two-tier policing is what they bang on about. So they've got something to feel terrified about. Anyway, last few days has been another big week for that. Not least today, because today we had the Times and the Telegraph pretending is always a generous description of what they're doing. The Times and the Telegraph pretending, acting, suggesting that trans people are changing genders to get out of their past employment misdeeds. Like, it wasn't me that did it. It was my dead name. It was my old character that did. That's what they think is happening now. The Times and the Telegraph. And I mean, look, we talked a little bit about this on the paper review this morning, but it's just like, one thing that I missed on the paper review when I was talking about it was like how stupid it is. This, to have this undercurrent subtext that suggests that trans women would pursue that just to, like, what, to have a modest blemish on their HR record erased. Was it really be worth that? Really? Wouldn't it just be easy to get another job? Wouldn't it? I mean, think it through. Like Wes Streeting was on the rounds talking about this stuff. Wes Streeting's out here like, I am extremely concerned that trans women might be able to escape the medical's registrar, right? Where you get your GP, general practitioner, your nurses, all of the medics have got to be signed up to the regulator, right? He said he was extremely concerned that trans women might be able to escape the medical registrar's scrutiny and repercussions when they change gender because their records are just wiped. They just get a brand new record. And I was like, right, okay. Yeah. But like, I mean, concerned or not, extremely concerned or not, do we really think? Just reason with this for a second. Do we really think that the 0.5% of Brits who are transgender, that's how small a number you're talking, 0.5% of Brits who are transgender, and then the tiny chunk of those who might have got into trouble at work, right? So we're filtering it down. A really tiny number of people here. 0.5% of Brits who are trans, the tiny number of that 0.5% who have got into trouble and got some sort of HR recording of that trouble, and then the tiny proportion of that number who work in the NHS. Like, are we really thinking that this is such an extremely concerning number of people, an extremely concerning loophole that's being abused here of quack doctors who are just transitioning to escape the repercussions? Like, really, Is it that much of a problem? Are you extremely concerned? Are you? Like, can you imagine? Can you imagine if that was your mate, you know, who you were meeting in the pub? You're just catching up with him for the first time in a while, and you're like, oh yeah, how's the job going? You know, I heard you weren't settling in that well. Heard you were having a little bit of trouble with your job, and then your mate's just like, yeah. No, well, actually, it's a bit weird, but I found a solution to that problem. You're like, oh, okay. What happened? What did you do? And your friend's like, yeah, well, so they were they were giving me like disciplinaries for taking too many fag breaks and coming in late and all of that stuff. You're like, yeah, right. Well, it turns out there's this loophole. You know, turns out I did a bit of digging. Turns out they can't actually access my historical HR information if I have my dick cut off. Like fucking score. You're like, all right, that's the plan. That's the get out. Is it? You can have your fucking penis cut off to get out of a small verbal warning at your place of work. Have you thought this through, Dave? Uh-huh, yeah. See, not just a hat, Mac. Ain't smart. I'm a genius. I've figured it out. Like, I was talking to a friend of mine about this earlier on today. And she works in the NHS. And I was telling her about this story that it's based on. Like the Times, the Telegraph articles are sort of rooted in this. I'm going to take this shirt off. I'm absolutely roasting. Just literally just thinking, like, it would really add something to this story now. Like, if I took the shirt off and it was like bare chest, but I'd had some tits, like I was going through the transit. Like, this would be a hell of a way to break it. Anyway, is that transphobic to say? I don't know. Anyway, I was talking to a friend of mine. He says, revealing his new D cups. I was talking to a friend of mine earlier today, and she's a female doctor, works in the NHS, about the story that this story is rooted in. It's about a nurse who allegedly bullied the trans doctor. And she was like, hang on a second. So the doctor was born male, right? And I was like, yeah, apparently. Then, trans woman doctor, right? She was like, and she transitioned. So now she's a female doctor in the NHS. I was like, yes, by all accounts, that is accurate. And my mate was like, I mean, the irony here is, she goes, her words, not mine. She goes, give it a couple of months for the payslip to come through, and then she'll see the wage gap between being a male doctor and a female doctor, and she'll be like, oh, this is fucking shit, and transition back. Don't shoot the messenger. I just thought it was funny. I'm not mocking. Like, nobody's mocking anyone for, their life choices or how they identify or anything. I'm just saying it's a reference. We're taking the piss out of the ridiculousness of the wage gap. Okay, good. We better move on before I put my my fucking foot in my mouth anymore. What else has been going on in the news this week? The popular weight loss drug and diabetes drug, Ozemipic, is in such high demand now, apparently, that it is being reported that it's being sold alongside cocaine and ketamine now. People are fiending for Ozempic because it's in such high demand. It's being sold by drug dealers alongside cocaine and ketamine. It's pretty wild, isn't it? Pretty strange. I mean, here I was marveling a few weeks back about how little Gen Z and Gen A are going out. I was like, does anybody even go out and get wrecked anymore? And it turns out, yes, they do, Aid. They're bang on the drugs. Of course they are. But instead it's like, yeah, bruv, can I get 2 bags of sugar-free diabetic chocolates and you got any Ozempic to go with my fake vape cigarettes? Like, what is going on with you kids today? You know, you should be out there taking good drugs and making bad decisions. And you're fucking not. I asked my mate's little brother, just as a little side note, little segue. I asked my mate's little brother a couple of weeks ago, like what he and his mates do these days. You know, like what do young people do? I was just curious. Like, what do you get up to with your friends and stuff? Like when you're not at college, what do you get? Like, how does everybody socialize these days? Like, every time I go out, the rare instances that I go out, all the bars are fucking empty. Do people not go out anymore, like at all? And he was like, no, we just sort of, we just hang at somebody's house. Is apparently what they do. I was like, right, but like, what do you do when you get there? And he was like, what do you mean? Like, we just hang. I was like, yeah, but what does that even mean? Like hang out? Like you just chill? You just watch TV? Or like, he's like, no, like sometimes, we PS5 and we live stream, we jump on YouTube, we do TikToking and Snapchat and all of that stuff. Sometimes like we jump on this sort of live room chat thing. And he showed it to me. It was a bit like this is their thing apparently that they do, is they go on to this like chat roulette type thing. I mean, it's basically that. It's basically chat roulette. And they just talk to other people in other parts of the world who are also just hanging, right? Or the other thing that they do is they go into like a video game, but it's like a video game version of a bar or like a lounge or a cafe where they all hang. Okay, but either way, like whichever one, it's just a screen replication of what socializing actually used to be. It's like it's progressed. It's been technologized or something. I was like, God, that's so sad. I half expected him to turn around and be like, you actually used to like manually go to a bar. Like that's how you used to socialize archaically. Really, caveman. Really, Amish man. You used to manually have to walk down to a bar and like walk in through the doors and manually ask for a drink. Oh my God. Like what were they playing in this like real bar? Was it Korn? Was it Limp Bizkit or like some other dad rock? And I'd turn around, I'd like snap it. I'd be like, that's not fucking dad rock. The Korn album came out in like 2002. That's like 5 years ago. So anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yes, Ozempic. Ozempic is being sold alongside coke and ketamine, apparently. Presumably because it's in short supply, right? Because the NHS won't give it to you for weight loss. They will only give it to you if you have type 2 diabetes. And so if you want to get thin, and, and this is the thing to take by all accounts, then, drug dealers are going to capitalize on that, aren't they? Because God bless the free market, right? But I do wonder, as I read reports like this, Ozempic being sold by drug dealers alongside coke and ketamine. I do wonder how long it's going to take for small C conservatives to listen to the stories of Gen Z taking it to keep their weight down. Because they're all into their gym culture, their swipe left culture. It's all about looking good. It's all about no to alcohol, yes to wellness, and gym and fucking kale smoothies. But how long until these dealers run out and then they're talking to their clients on text, on Snapchat, selling their product They'd be like, yeah, no, I'm all out of Ozempic, but I do have this other thing, right? Like waving a little baggie of white powder. I do have this other thing. I mean, if you're desperate, if you're fiending, I mean, everyone's dry on Ozempic at the moment, but I do have this other thing. And then sub them the coke. I mean, how long until that definitely happens? How long, guys? What do the small C conservatives do then? Because technically, they should refer to Ozempic as a gateway drug, shouldn't they? Like, it would be literally like, oh, I got into touch with the guy because I really wanted the Ozempic. Then he ran dry, and then, I don't know, I fucking blinked and I was doing 5 8-balls and a line of Ket every day. Over to the States. Let's talk about what's happening in the United States, shall we? I'm just going to turn these heaters off because I am fucking roasting. Hold on. There we go. Sweating my tits off. Sweating my new ample double D tits off, guys. So I have a quick look at the live chat. I've been neglecting the live chat recently. What's going on? We got Wayne Makers in the house. What's up, Wayne? Politics Social. Jim Speaks in the house too. Diz is sharing some badger emojis. Okay, good. Right, so we're into the badger emojis. Around about 35 minutes ahead of schedule. Damn, we're good. Damn, we're efficient this week. What's everyone else saying? Boo. It's all about learning what your body needs, says Diz. I mean, that's fair enough. Some people's bodies need that little white baggie. Okay, right. Let's talk about the States. Let's talk about what's happening over in America. So obviously Donald Trump went full on Putin lapdog this week. You'd have to be living under a rock to not be aware of that. Donald Trump went full on Putin poodle, didn't he? He told Ukraine to go fuck itself, basically. He lied. He said Ukraine started the war. He mocked them, basically, for not having done a deal before now. And so, there's no point including them in the negotiations because they should have already done this. And they've just, kicked it down the road and kicked the can down the road, rather. So that happened. Truth Social got banned in Ukraine subsequently. Musk has been as insane as ever. In fact, somebody shared 2 tweets of Elon Musk's, which I found really interesting. Interesting/hilarious. 2 tweets of Elon Musk's. One is from 2022, right? When Putin first invaded, because Putin did start the war. One is from 2022, when Putin had first invaded. The other one is from yesterday. And they perfectly encapsulate these 2 tweets, one on top of the other. They perfectly encapsulate how ket drunk and batshit Elon Musk has become. Like in March 2022, right? 2 weeks into the invasion, he tweets this. He says, hold strong, Ukraine. And he's got Ukrainian flags, both sides. Hold strong, Ukraine. In the first 2 weeks of that invasion, of Putin's illegal invasion of Ukraine. Hold strong, Ukraine. Ukrainian flags, guys. Now spool forward to 2 days ago. It's like, Zelensky killed an American journalist. Zelensky killed it. He's just completely brain fried, isn't he? He's just maggoted out and gone. Like he bought Twitter. He bought Twitter, 3 or 4 years ago as his personal plaything, didn't he? And I swear to God, he's just got hooked on it. Just couldn't look away from all of those tweets coming in every 2 seconds. The adulation, the hate, the drama, the algorithms, the echo chambering. He just couldn't look away, just couldn't give it up, couldn't put it down. and slowly it frog-boiled his unstoppable genius brain. That's what's happened. It's like over the last 3 years, he's frog-boiled his brain in his own platform. He's like the guy, I was saying this on Blue Sky earlier, he's like the guy off Lawnmower Man, I think, you know? The really dumb blonde guy that's, you know, can just about hold down a job mowing people's lawns, you know? And then Pierce Brosnan, he plays this VR engineer. I think this came out in like 93, 94, something like that. It's quite an old movie, obviously. Pierce Brosnan is this VR engineer that puts this, you know, VR goggles hat sort of thing on him every day, and slowly he just goes nuttier and nuttier. He just like the technology that's just soiling his eyeballs and just baking his brain just sends him nuttier and more batshit every single time he uses it. That is where Elon is at right now. Elon is the fucking Lawnmower Man. He's like, or like if you haven't seen the Lawnmower Man, he's like when Indiana Jones drinks the Kool-Aid, you know, when Indiana Jones drinks the blood, the heart blood or whatever it is in the Temple of Doom, just drunk, just deep in the Kool-Aid, is where Elon Musk is. Like the guy in Temple of the Doom's like num num shavai, num num shavai, num num shavai, num num shavai, no, just speaking in tongues, deep in the MAGA fantasy. At the moment, that's where he's at. That's where MAGA is at right now. They're about fucking, you know, a glowing gold ball and a fiery iron cage away from going full Temple of Doom. That is where MAGA is headed. For any journalists on their podcasts, on their panels, who are like, I mean, the frightening thing is to ask, you know, where is this headed? Well, that's where it's headed. To some sort of underground cult where they burn people alive. Thank you. Please book me. Liz Truss is over there, by the way, also at the moment. Liz Truss is over in the States. Any Liz Truss fans in the chat tonight? Liz Truss, friend of the show. What do we all make of Liz Truss these days? What do you guys make of Lizzie? Because I think her metamorphosis is like complete now. I think she's gone through her chrysalis phase. She's exited her like former form. She's now, where is she now? She's now fully blossomed into an absolutely unmedicated lunatic, hasn't she? She's just gone. Lawnmower woman is where she is. I mean, I say unmedicated. I honestly don't know what it is that she needs, medication-wise, you know, to get her back to sanity. But whatever it is, we need to get her on it, like, stat. Like, yesterday, you know. Whatever it is, just check it's available on the NHS, or maybe we get it from a drug dealer. Whatever, whoever's got it available, we need to get it for Lizzie. Please help. Phone up my dealer next week. I'll be like, yeah, have you got any Ozemipic? No. Any coke? Any care? No. Okay. How about some antipsychotic olanzapine? Liz Truss, guys. Liz Truss over in the States. At the moment, she's at the CPAC convention, as indeed a lot of them are. But she is, of course, a former Prime Minister, former PM, out at the CPAC convention, out on the road, not to talk Britain up, you understand, but to tell the Americans how shit we are. That's basically her whole shtick now, isn't it? Every time I see Liz Truss giving a speech or appearing on an American podcast, it's like there should be a compere. There should be an MC that welcomes her on stage, welcomes her to the panel or whatever, up to the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, Liz Truss singing the hits, Britain fucking sucks. Take it away, Lizzie. Which, you know, I'm here for the self-deprecation of it, you know? Like, what could be more British? In a way? You know, like maybe it would be like too American if she was out there on a stage saying that she's the best or like we're the best. That would be a bit on the nose, a bit too American, not very British. It is infinitely more British to stand there and be like, yeah, yeah, we're pretty shit, you know? But yes, anyway, she's been out on the road talking Britain down, being something of a doomster and a gloomster. Completely detached from reality is where she is at the moment, telling American conservatives that the British people are crying out for a UK DOGE. British people are crying out for an American-style commitment to freedom of speech. Fox News, they're crying out for it. She says, a UK MAGA movement is what we need. That's what she says Britain is crying out for. Meanwhile, over here, in objective reality, Lizzie, you should come visit sometime. Meanwhile, over here in objective reality, according to the polls, according to all of the stats, unanimously across party, across age groups, nobody likes Elon. It is the one uniting thing in these great times of division. It's one of the few things that people will actually all agree on. Like, oh yeah, fuck that guy. And I hate Peter Kay. It's one of the few things that people can agree on. Nobody likes Elon Musk. None of the polls work to Trump's favour. Even the right-wing rags this week have been mauling him. Like, everybody hates them. But here we are, you know, witnessing Liz Truss as something of a, travelling diplomat, a representative, a former prime minister, and to some extent, Kemi Badenoch also this week. So a former PM and a would-be PM. Both of them suggesting that Britain is a disaster and that we are all pining for our very own DOGE, Elon, and UK MAGA. Like, this is what I meant, right, when I said recreational nightmares. Like, are we really in the Marxist dictatorship that all of these clowns suggest that we are, or allude to the fact that we are? Are we? Are people really getting thrown in prison just for saying something harmless on Facebook? No! No, they're not. Are refugees really not getting sent home over fucking chicken nuggets? Are they not? No, it's actually a lot more complicated than that. But as I said earlier, they have no actual solutions to any of the problems we face. And moreover, they've actually helped to create a lot of those problems. So instead of offering any solutions to the problems that a lot of the time they've created, instead they curate these other scandals and horror stories that they can rail against for no other reason than their own recreation. And it kind of gets you thinking, doesn't it, guys? Kind of gets you thinking, maybe they're onto something. Maybe this is just how politics and news is done these days. Maybe that's a thing that we should consider doing on the left. Maybe that's something that we should consider doing tonight, guys, on this show. People in the live chat. People tuning in later on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Maybe that's something that we can do together here on the left. We could just make up a thing, right? A problem with the right. And maybe we go fucking full in Indiana Jones with it, Just make up a scandal, a conspiracy theory, something to do with the right, some sort of weird allegation or cultural thing to do with right. We'll be like, I can't believe the right are going to kidnap the sons of your village and take them into their underground cult and start them off my... They'll be like, what? No, we're not. No, they're not. I'll be like, I see you're in on it too then, Kemi. It needs a name, this conspiracy theory. We need a name for this completely baseless recreational nightmare that we're going to manufacture about right-wingers, a conspiracy theory, something to do with them stealing all of our firstborn children or something like. They've got what's their sort of made up scandals, their made up conspiracy theories, rigged elections and voter fraud, that was theirs. Debanking, that was another one. That was Nigel Farage. Wasn't actually a thing. Two-tier policing, obviously very recent example. Maybe like what could we call it? What could we market it as? This conspiracy theory, this made up, manufactured scandal, this recreational nightmare. Maybe we call it kid farming. Who's with me? Maybe we start that tonight, guys. Kid farming. Like, that's why they're so into banning abortion and banning reproductive controls, because they want to force women to give birth so they can kid farm the babies and push them into great British sweatshops and force them into manual labour. I've seen the documents, guys. I've seen them. Where are they now? I have no idea. I can't share them with you. No, but I have seen them. Kid farming is what they're all building up to. This is why they're so into farmers as well. You see, it all adds up. It all makes sense now. It all adds up to a completely ridiculous conclusion, but it adds up, guys. You know, like fuck Starmer and Cooper taking two-tier policing seriously. What is Kemi going to do about kid farming? What is her response to it? Silence is complicity. Silence is violence, so the saying goes. This is why they hate trans women as well. Because they want the babies. They want the babies. It all adds up, guys. Just remember, you heard it here first. You heard it here first, guys. We broke the story. The Tories, Reform, they're all up for kid farming. They're going to steal your firstborn, force them into manual labour. That's what this is all about. It all makes sense now, doesn't it? I love the fact there's a comment in the live chat from Diz where it's like, no, that makes no sense. If I'm going to subscribe to these conspiracy theories, if we're going to really, truly manufacture, you can't doubt them. You have to be all in, Diz. Lest you get kicked out the fucking Temple of Doom MAGA tribe. Right, have we got time for a weird news story? Yeah, we're good. We're good. We've got time for a weird news story. We've always got time for a weird news story.
Prince Andrews and Knott's Burger.
Here we go. Colorado men accused of attempting to use a cannon to launch meth and tobacco into Louisiana prison. Okay. On Friday, the Grant Parish Sheriff's Office in Louisiana said 2 Colorado men were arrested after attempting to use a cannon to sneak meth and tobacco into a federal prison. Sneak? Ready? Sneak. With a cannon. I mean, I can think of more subtle ways to get that shit in there, I think. Anyway, it says, Colorado men accused of attempting to use a cannon to launch meth and tobacco into prison. Hang on a second. Isn't Colorado like a fucking day's drive from Louisiana? Isn't it? Like, I'm not getting my geography mixed up here, am I? Somebody in the chat can correct me if it is. Like, I thought like Colorado is like near Utah and Nebraska, isn't it? So like that's got to be a hell of a cannon That's got to be a hell of a cannon to blast a fucking 8-ball of coke or meth or something, like across 3 or 4 states. Like, that's ambitious. That's what that is. I think, don't jail these people. Don't jail them, man. Give them a medal for just having a goal, I think. It says the sheriff's office said an investigation led deputies to learn the suspects from Greeley planned to use a cannon propelled by compressed air to launch $112,000 worth of tobacco and $89,000 worth of meth into the prison. Right, okay. So it's compressed air or something. A compressed air cannon. And here I was thinking it was like a, sort of American Revolution sort of thing. Like, great big fuck off lit fuse, light the gunpowder, bang, fire in the hole. Guy with a big hat and a parrot and a peg leg. Subtle, trying to sneak it in while you're dressed like a fucking parrot with your cannon. Be a pretty good way to take drugs, though, wouldn't it? Blast them from a cannon straight up your nostrils from 3 states away. You just like sat there in Louisiana, just like, oh shit, hell of a hit. But no, it's not that. It's a compressed air thing, seemingly. Deputies said the cannon, which could shoot items 350 feet in the air, would launch the items over the federal prison security fence and onto prison grounds. I mean, it's still ballsy, isn't it? Wheeling up your cannon and firing your drugs, over the thing into the prison yard. Like, did they not just like sneak it in anymore? Has that got old? Is that like is that an outdated method for meth these days? Is it? Like, here I am, I'm Amish man who still visits bars manually and also sneak drugs into jails manually. Soundtracked by Korn and Limp Bizkit. Anyway, it says, we launched the items over the federal prison security fence and onto prison grounds. I think if I was an inmate, and somebody's taking my order while I'm there, and they're talking to me like they're sort of, Deliveroo or like Uber Eats, basically. Like, how do you want it delivered? I'll be like, I don't know, like, what's the options? And they'll be like, well, you could get it snuck in like normal, little bags up the ass of an incoming inmate, just jacked up the Brown Canal there. And then, they come in, they get settled, and they shit it out in like day 1, day 2. So you'll get you'll wash it off and give it to you straight in your cell. So you get it in like 2-3 days, right? And you'd be like, right, okay, what's option 2? Is it quicker? They'd be like, yeah, actually, option 2 is kind of quick. Option 2 is that we stick it in a fucking cannon and we blast it up into the sky and into the prison yard, but we have no idea who might take it, who might pick it up, where it will end up, whether the guards will see it, and you'd be like, right, okay. So what's it going to be? Cannon crack or ass meth? What do you want? Cannon crack or ass rocks? I'd be like, oh, ass rocks. Ass rocks every time. Yeah. Like, I'm in here for a 50 stretch. I took out a big pharma CEO out there. I'm going to need some drugs just to get through this. Like, I don't want any uncertainty. Give me the ass rocks. Like I'm going to put that order in. I want to know that it's coming in, I think, if I put myself in their position. I'd be like looking at it like I'm looking at a menu in a fucking fine dine restaurant or something. Like, yeah, I'll take the traditional arse rocks, please. Anyway, it continues. It says the 2 suspects, 18-year-old Jose Francisco Munoz and 19-year-old Angel Gutierrez, both from Greeley. I have no idea where Greeley is. They're both facing charges of attempting to introduce contraband into a penal institution and attempting to distribute methamphetamine. So it is meth. I sort of missed that a little bit before. I assumed it was crack or coke or something. But it's not crack, it's meth. I mean, to be honest, I was half expecting it might be Ozemipic, right? I mean, it says the sheriff's office also said the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement department also assisted in the investigation and detained Munoz, who was reportedly in the U.S. illegally. Well, that's the worst thing. This was in Louisiana, was it? All right. I mean, if I was in Louisiana, whether I'm in a jail or not, if I'm in Louisiana, I'm probably going to need some meth just to be able to endure it. Just to be able to handle being in Louisiana. Like, yeah, I'm gonna need to medicate my way through this, I think. I don't know, we're supposed to be appalled by this, aren't we? I know we're supposed to be like, there's immigration elements to this story and there's drugs and, they could have worked for a gang or a cartel, and then they've been detained for their brazen contempt that they showed for the law. And it's just, we're supposed to be appalled by this, aren't we? But I see this story, guys, and you know what I think? The two gentlemen firing contraband into the prison with their cannon, possibly from 4 states away. Although, do you know what I think? Do you know what pops in my head? I think we need to medicate Liz Truss with this fucking thing. We need to load this thing up with whatever medication, whatever antipsychotic meds Liz Truss desperately needs to be prescribed. And we just need to fire that shit right up the cake hole. Right, guys. That's it for this one. That's it for this episode. I'm sorry if it's sort of frozen for you guys. I'm going to try and wind it down into the lock-in. I'll see if it improves. Thank you so much, though, for tuning in. I'll be back next Monday to Friday with the alternative paper review. We've made it through another half term again, so you might see me filming them outside a little bit more now next week. And I, of course, will be back next Wednesday for another midweek show. But until next time, keep it booge, keep it Binfluencer, and we are out this motherfucker.